Hello and welcome to Sharing Vietnam. In today's program, we'll have a conversation with a special guest. He's not only a diplomat that has served as the Italian ambassador to Vietnam and other countries, but also the author of novels that explore the profound world of human souls. He will share with us his experience in Vietnam, particularly through his latest book, inspired by this country. So hello, Mr. Angeloni. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you very much to you.
First of all, could you share with us your feelings when coming back to Vietnam this time?
Well, there are many feelings to be shared, but to be simple, I would say that the most proper word is I'm moved. I'm moved because I spent 4 beautiful years of my life here as ambassador. I was ambassador of Italy here between 2010 and 2014. Now I'm ambassador to India, and this was a great period of my life. It was a great period because we managed, with the help of Vietnamese authorities, to increase the level of our bilateral relationship. It was a great period because I met a number of beautiful people, a lot of friends, and because I was inspired to write a novel that I'm here now in these days to present. So for all these reasons and many others, this was simply a fantastic period of my life, and to be back in Hanoi, it's a great emotion.
You have traveled and worked in various countries as a diplomat. In your opinion, what are some special things about Vietnam?
I wondered many times, asking myself why I had this special relation with Vietnam, because I'm used to be involved in the country where I live. I spent very intense years in Algeria, for instance. I was there during the period of terrorism. It was a very difficult and bad period. I spent 4 years in Sudan. It's another difficult country, a lot of tragedy, wars. I was very sympathetic with the people. But what I felt here was really something more. So I mean, the answer that I give to myself, it is maybe because more than in other countries, I found here people has a lot of similarities with us, even if we are so far away geographically. So I mean, we are people based on value on families, and we like also to be happy, or we love music or literature. So we have a lot of things that make our life similar. And the second explanation, maybe the most articulated, if you want, is the fact that I'm now quite 60. And when I was a little boy in Italy, so many things were similar to the moment of the development that Vietnam is experiencing today. And I recover from my early life a number of memories, especially on the simplicity in the good sense of life, no? I mean, simplicity of values, and also the enthusiasm of people that are striving to have a better life. And this was exactly what was happening in Italy during the 60s of the last century, when I was between my 0 and 10 years. And maybe smelling again this kind of atmosphere, so it's something that catch me a lot and make this affection really special.
The quarantine brought back the memory of the severe acute respiratory syndrome, or SARS. Late 2012, the pandemic broke out in Hong Kong and spread to dozens of countries around the world, infecting more than 8,000 people and killing nearly 1,000 patients. In Vietnam, the disease made havoc in 45 days, causing 65 infected and 5 dead cases. All of the deceased people were nurses and doctors working at the Vietnam France hospital, which reported the first case of SARS in Vietnam. The pandemic also caused the death of Carlo Urbani, an Italian doctor working for the World Health Organization. He supported local colleagues at the Vietnam-France hospital in rescuing patients and played the leading role in detecting the virus behind SARS. Thanks to efforts by Carlo Urbani and the local healthcare system, Vietnam was officially recognized by the World Health Organization as the first country to have successfully controlled SARS on April the 28th, 2003.
Từ trước tới nay chưa có một tác phẩm nào liên quan đến hoặc là đề cập một cách rất là sâu với những nhân vật mà thực tế đã từng trải nghiệm qua dịch SARS ở chúng ta cả. Văn học Việt Nam cũng không nhắc tới và văn học nước ngoài cũng không thấy nhắc tới gì cả. Nhưng ở đây lại là đến từ một người Ý là một nhà đại sứ, nhưng người tay trái lại là một nhà văn và cũng khá nổi tiếng ở Ý. Và trong cuốn sách này ta thấy rất nhiều những vấn đề về văn hóa, những cái nét về phố phường của Hà Nội, rồi tính cách của con người Việt Nam, thì điều đó chứng tỏ rằng là đây là một con người mà hiểu cặn kẽ với Việt Nam, và nếu như không có một tình yêu đặc biệt nào đó thì ông ấy sẽ không đặt cuốn sách của mình trong một cái bối cảnh đặc biệt đến như vậy.
Lorenzo Angeloni's novel brings readers into the Vietnam-France hospital to live in the quarantine along with other anxious people of Hanoi during the pandemic. From that point, the author moves on to other countries, other plights, and other issues such as globalization, the income gap, and the global financial crisis. Readers come to realize that everybody experiences a quarantine and faces an unexpected separation. The book also shows that there is always a spark of good conscience that may be hidden under the ashes of our mistakes in life. The spark never becomes extinct and will flare up when the right moment comes.
Cái câu chuyện thì nó cũng có nhiều tầng lớp và nó nhắc đến những cái vấn đề mà chúng ta hiện nay rất là quan tâm, và rõ ràng thì nhà văn Lorenzo Angeloni cũng là một đại sứ, một nhà ngoại giao, cho nên là ông cũng có một cái cơ hội để nắm bắt rất là vững về những cái kiến thức trong kinh tế, chính trị và quá trình toàn cầu hóa. Và vì thế thì với cái văn phong tuyệt vời của Angeloni thì ông đã tạo nên một cái cuốn tiểu thuyết rất là hấp dẫn.
The Vietnamese version of The Quarantine was launched during the 7th European Literature Days in Hanoi. The author also met with readers and friends in other regions of Vietnam, including Hue and Ho Chi Minh City. Could you tell us about the source of inspiration for you to write The Quarantine?
Let's say that the idea sparked by a visit I made to where Italy funded a project of international aid. It was and it is a laboratory for analysis and research, and named after the man Carlo Urbani, who was a microbiologist, who was here at the time of SARS for UN. I think he was working for the WHO. That was the first to understand how to tackle the new virus, before it was known then as SARS. And I was really curious and struck by the experience of Carlo Urbani, and not only Carlo Urbani, because at the beginning, also scientists were absolutely scared to have a pandemic in front of them. So this idea of the contagion never left me. So when I came back to Hanoi, I realized I was living in a place that some years back had experienced this kind of fears. And I was curious to try to understand the way people change their habits and the way people cope with this. And I wanted also to pay respect to the people and to the scientists, to the doctors that were working and fighting against this virus. So this was the sparkle, let's say I had the idea of building a story
Could you share with us some touching moments for you during the writing of the book?
Well, touching moments, I think, yes, there were many. First of all, as I told you, was the life and the death, unfortunately, of Carlo Urbani, because this doctor, unfortunately, paid with his life the fight against the virus, because he was affected by the virus. And he died, unfortunately, before the other completed the research on how to cope and how to tackle with the virus. So, and this was something very touching for me, also to recall and to pay tribute to this man. Then I was simply, let's say, taken by my observation of the daily life here in Vietnam, in Hanoi. And I wanted to report and to describe through the Vietnamese character of the story, the Vietnam I lived in. So I mean, even simple scene of life. So I don't know, the old women that they sell things in the small market in any corner of the town. Simple scenes, but for me again very touching, and I wanted to have the opportunity to put these moments, my personal perception, in a story, and to put this in a novel possibly. So of course a novel leave you much more space for your fantasy.
And finally, could you tell us about your future activities to further contribute to the relations between Vietnam and Italy?
What I do for, let's say, Vietnam, or relation between Italy and Vietnam, is keep referring in my conversation to the fantastic year that I spent in Vietnam. So many people ask me, you know, diplomat has always been asked, was your previous post, what are the difference with this one, and how do you enjoy this country or the others? And I have to say that my main focus when I'm in this, let's say, diplomatic conversation, or also with my friends, is always on how beautiful was my period in Vietnam, and how people should come here, should visit this country, should know and learn more about Vietnam. So this is what I keep doing for my pleasure first, because I believe in this, and maybe also for the relation between people, because at the end a lot of things pass through the people, not only through institutions, but also to people. And maybe I can say something in Vietnamese that can make this idea very clear. Tôi mãi mãi là bạn của Vietnam.
Well, Mr. Angeloni, thank you very much for joining us today and sharing some profound insights.
Thank you very much.
Well, that's all for our Sharing Vietnam today. We look forward to receiving more and more publications exploring the soul of Vietnam through the experience of friends from around the world. Thank you very much for watching, and see you again next time.